They want action now.
The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has ordered a full-scale national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal. The Prime Minister said that the inquiry will be statutory, which will mean that it will have powers to compel witnesses to give evidence and are independent of government. Many of the cases in this grooming gang scandal involve Pakistani heritage men raping white children, predominantly girls.
Hello MV UK, it's Pete here. Welcome back to the channel, and good to have your company. So we just got wind last night. I was busy, or I'd have done this last night, but anyway, today's Sunday the 15th. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Anyway, what we're looking at today is the fact that Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the UK, did a massive U-turn yesterday evening on the way to Canada to meet with the Canadian government for discussions, I think, on trade talks, but that's irrelevant for this content, because what we're looking at is the biggest U-turn of the century so far, in my opinion, because it so matters, this subject. It's so delicate, it's so incendiary. But we're going to get right into that right now. We're going to talk about the national inquiry called for the grooming gang scandal that's been going on for over 30 years now. So if you like what you see on these videos, do like it, do subscribe and do share. I always struggle to ask for that in enough time, but if you could, it would mean a lot to me. Right, so what we've got is we've got a problem here with grooming gangs, the majority of which are Pakistani men. Now, I'm refrain from saying Muslims, because there are some very, very decent Muslims out there who abhor this subject. And in fact, there was polling done that actually the Muslim community is much more in favour of the death penalty for these grooming gang offenders than the British are. So, you know, there you go. Anyway, the challenge comes historically from over the years. So if you have a look at this clip from Darren Jones.
And when you see that the majority of the people in these boats are children, babies and women who have been...
No, they're not.
No, you have got to take... No, look, I get this is...
North of 90% of them are adult men.
Let me be... No.
Right, okay, I just thought I'd let you hear the audience. The audience were having absolutely none of that at all. Anyway, this is the issue. That level of gaslighting that you just saw there, where he said the majority of people in small boats coming over are women and children. No, they're not. Even Zia Youssef there just corrected him up to the hill, saying it was north of 90%. So that there is covering up, or trying to cover up, the fact, the absolute disgrace that's coming over the channel on the small boats. That right there has been the problem for 30 years. Trying to tell everyone there's not a problem with grooming gangs, there's not a problem with Pakistani men raping our young girls and daughters and whatever. They're trying to say, oh, it's okay. Well, no, it's not. On a biblical scale, this is not okay. And the people that have been covering this up for years are now panicking, because in January, Keir Starmer said to the nation that if you were calling for a national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal, then you were pandering to the right-wing ideology. Roll forward 6 months, and now he's calling for a national inquiry. So it's come about because what happened was the government actioned 5 local inquiries to be done, and Baroness Casey was to do an interim quick review to say whether that would be sufficient, or whether the country needs a national inquiry, which will be led by a judge, which will have the authority to call and summons people to court to answer for their behaviours. Certain behaviours, such as a 10-year-old girl was reported by a social worker as acting like a prostitute. This is a 10-year-old girl, a child, being branded a prostitute by social services because they didn't want to tackle or become labelled as racist. I can't even believe I'm saying these words out loud. Excuse me, my voice is going. I'm that angry about this. I'm sort of bittersweet. Anyway, The problem with the 5 local inquiries is they didn't stretch across a network across the country. Now, Charlie Peters here on GB News, who opened the show for us, full credit to GB News for doing this report, full credit to Charlie Peters for having the courage, the bravery and tenacity to get this stuff documented into hard evidence, along with other whistleblowers along the way. Tommy Robinson, Katie Hopkins, Douglas Murray, forgive me. They've all been saying this for a decade, 2 decades and more. And no one listened to them. They were debanked, they were desocialised, they were everything, branded, labelled, everything. And now look, this is what they were calling for, and now this is what the Prime Minister supports. I'm, for one, am very, very happy about this, because what it's going to expose is the cover-ups. It's going to expose everything. So I did go to the government's website just to check what the SP is on, and you can see here the search. I've gone to the government website, I've typed in grooming gang inquiry. Nothing is on the search at the moment, as you can see, but I will keep an eye on that. I want to see, I don't want this to be diluted, I don't want this to be kicked into the long grass. I definitely don't want one of Keir's mates as a judge doing this. So I think we need a judge from abroad, really, someone who's got absolutely no vested interest in UK politics, who will look at this through a prism of truth, a prism of factual data. And woe betide any of them council leaders, social service leaders, police leaders. They need to be, charged, held accountable, charged to the highest level. Absolutely highest level. Now, why the U-turn? Because the government, in January were adamant they didn't want to do this. We all know why, because the Muslim voting bank is significant. Even Nigel Farage says without the Muslim voting bank, he can't win an election, which is a worrying outcome, to be fair, when we're being held to ransom by somebody, by a community. I mean, seriously, get a grip. But why? Why has Keir Starmer done a U-turn against his own principles in January? He was calling people far right for this. So why has he changed? Well, the report that Baroness Casey, you can see her here, has done is, no one's seen it yet. Some of it's been leaked to the press that, the reason that he's U-turned is because of this report. And as you see from the thumbnail, whilst he's been reading every single word of the report, he's obviously realised how bad this really is. And when that report comes out and it's in the public domain, freedom of information, you can get that and read that for ourselves. We're going to find what she actually reports on and suggests, and I've got a feeling that that's going to be quite barbaric, and enough of so barbaric, that actually even Keir Starmer, as an educated person, educated with no common sense, I'll give you, but educated nonetheless, and he's looked at that and gone, nah, I can't ignore this. There's no way I can ignore this, or there will literally be anarchy on the streets of the UK. Literally. Now, just for the record, on record, no violence is acceptable. We should not be out there being angry and being violent. Go out and protest. That's your legal right to go out, form numbers, hold your signs, maybe a bit of chanting. But there should be no throwing, no burning, no looting, no violence, no assaulting police officers, no assaulting counter-protesters, no violence. We don't need violence. We've got a national inquiry coming through. Let's focus on the detail. I'm going to leave it there because I am going to keep a close eye on this. This is quite important that we keep this covered and keep this in the main focus of what we're doing, because the mainstream media will play this down. They will try to dilute and get rid of this, because this goes against their whole narrative of multiculturalism and integration. Well, we already know Islam doesn't integrate, it dominates, and that is where we're finding ourselves now. So we're at a real crossroads here. Remember, keep a lid on your anger, talk, leave comments. The pen is mightier than the sword, people. We don't need violence over this. Just keep ahead, keep what's going to happen, I want to see people held accountable. I want to see the people that were fired over this, the whistleblowers, I want to see them compensated because they were right and they were silenced. And there's no silencing no more. I can't believe it's taken to this. Fair play to Baroness Casey. I'm so pleased that she literally has the balls to do the right thing. Literally. Well done. Well done, Baroness Casey. You're top of my Christmas card list right now. Anyway, on that note, I'm going to leave you with it. So if you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. As Pete of NV UK.